My name is Adam Cresco McCarthy, and I am the owner of Roosevelt Grooming Company. Roosevelt Grooming Company is based in just outside of Albany in the Helzberg Mountains, which is where we are right now. Somebody gave me a straight razor from the 1940s, I think it was, with a broken handle. So I was like, well, I can make a handle. I know how to do woodworking, so I just made a handle. So I would show it to people, and they'd be like, oh, that's so good. Why don't you sell something like that? So I was like, oh, I can do that. So I restored another one and just put it online, and that one sold. And then I just kept buying more and more, because once you start making something that's fun and interesting to make, it's hard to stop. The blades last forever. I mean, they're high quality steel, and they just last and last and last. But the handles on these old straight razors are just cheap plastic. I was just selling straight razors, and then people were asking me for brushes. They're like, well, you have straight razors, do you have brushes? So I was like, yeah, I can make brushes, no problem. So I started making brushes, and then people are asking for shaving cream or shaving soap to go with the brushes, and I was like, yeah, I can make that too. So every time somebody asks me if I can make something, I'm like, yeah, of course I can make that, and I always do. I always thought it was interesting that Teddy Roosevelt had the barber's hour. So he really appreciated the process of shaving. Like, he took the time, and spoke with the press during that. I've got some woods here that I'm drying that I just kind of harvested from our own woods around here. So that was the burl that you saw inside, came from here. So burl is it's a growth that happens on a tree. Usually they're boarded branches. So you've got to look at the figure here. I mean, it's just like, can you like picture a razor made out of this piece right here? Some of these are pieces of burl, and sometimes I just look at that and I cut into it and I look at the texture of it. I'm like, well, what's that gonna turn into if I decide to make a razor or make a brush or make something out of it? A burl will grow, like the grains just grow in all different directions. The patterns in the wood are completely different. Can you see the little, there's like circles in there, and like the grain goes in all different directions. So it is kind of the material first, but a lot of it's just experimental. Like the Lichtenberg figures, these ones, I just love creating them in different types of woods to see what they become. I'll, sand them and polish them up and then assemble them. I'm like really into working with spalted wood right now. What it is a fungus, in this case, starts growing into the wood, and as it eats away and rots the wood, it changes the color. There's a process to get something like this into, usable wood. So I cut it down, I, sand it up, and I use a wood hardener to harden it up. And here is a finished product where I used the end grain of the spalted wood, so it's a bit darker. I wanted something that was a bit darker to contrast the other woods that I used in this. I'm on Etsy. I also have RooseveltGroomingCompany.com. So I have my own website. Honest Wheat Food Co-op in Albany sells my stuff. Pinterest, Facebook, of course, and Instagram. I use the vegan products the vegan ingredients in my products just because they're better. They're better for the environment. They work better in a lot of cases. Like, I use Candelia wax instead of beeswax for my mustache wax. It's just got a much better texture. So beeswax, is cheaper, but I don't go for the cheaper thing. I go for the better thing. Every product that I sell was inspired by somewhere in New York State. I've got a product called Adirondack. It's my best-selling scent. I wanted to capture being in, deep dark wood. So it's cedar wood and pine based. One of the questions you had on the sheet was what I like about being a maker, and I think it's being able to look at the worlds in a different way. You can see something that for most people would just look like a rotten piece of wood on the ground, and know that you can turn it into something beautiful and useful.